Next, there's our Young Alumni Achievement Award. This award honors alumni within 15 years of graduating from Minnetonka High School for distinguished post-secondary academic achievement, professional achievement, distinguished leadership, and/or distinguished service toward the greater good. This year we have 2 honorees. Congratulations to our first Young Alumni Achievement Award recipient, Alexa Bussmann, from the class of 2016. Alexa has served in a multitude of nonprofits and social advocacy organizations across numerous communities, including Novel Hand, an online publication dedicated to bridging the gap between activism and impact. Introducing Alexa is her sister, Erica, from the class of 2018.
Hi, I'm pleased to introduce Alexa Bussmann. Alexa is a 2016 graduate of MHS and is currently a second-year law student at the University of Texas at Austin. She first found her passion for service as a student at Minnetonka, where she co-led the National Honor Society and the Class of 2016 Legacy Project. As an undergrad at Vanderbilt University, she used her coursework in economics and political science to further serve local and global communities. After her graduation in 2020, Alexa planned to serve for a year with the International Justice Mission in Guatemala before attending law school. Unfortunately, COVID-19 prevented her from doing so. Instead, she devoted her efforts to founding and editing the digital publication Novel Hand, which engages students from across the country in exploring solutions to global humanitarian and environmental crises. While it's only been a little over 6 years since Alexa graduated from MHS, she has repeatedly dug past adversity in the pursuit of service, and I can only imagine how she will continue to do so in the future.
How excited she was to receive this particular award.
Hey folks, I'm Alexa. I am a second-year law student at the University of Texas School of Law here in Austin. I so wish I could be there today to accept the Young Alumni Award, but unfortunately it just wasn't possible with school and other commitments. But I wanted to share a little bit about the work that I do, what service means to me, and why it's such an honor to win this award. So during my time at Minnetonka High School, I would say sort of my main activity, what really defined me as a person, was service. And I volunteered at the high school, I volunteered in my community in various ways, and that was just a huge part of my identity and how I used my time. And heading to college, I just didn't have those same opportunities, which was really a bummer for me. It had been such a big part of my experience at Minnetonka, and then in college I think it's just such a time of focusing on yourself and developing yourself and being on campus and things like that I didn't really get to explore that in the same way. But something I did get to spend a lot of my summers working for nonprofits and things like that, and got to sort of explore what it would look like to serve in my career. And kind of, I'm going through school and all these things. What does it look like to make service not just something I do outside of the classroom like I had at Minnetonka, but what does it look like to make it part of my career? And so I got to use my summers to work at nonprofits, and during the summer of 2019, that all kind of crystallized for me when I was serving with a nonprofit in Guatemala, and started to think about, I do these things to help people, whether that's human rights work, whether that's volunteering, at a homeless shelter or something like that. But how do I really know that what I'm doing to help other people actually has an impact and actually is sustainable and really effective for the communities that I want to serve? And so I developed that sort of mindset because the work I was doing was in monitoring and evaluation of programs in Guatemala. But I took that mindset back to my college campus. I was at Vanderbilt, and started to really think about what that looked like in my personal life with my service, and then what it would look like in a future career. And out of that, I started a community and organization called Novel Hand that looks at what does sustainable and equitable impact look like in our careers, in our communities, and in our personal lives. And I think that's part of why I won the award, was just my work with Novel Hand, growing that community of students and young adults who are really interested in exploring those questions of impact and sustainable and equitable impact in a quantitative way, but also qualitatively. How do people who we're trying to help really think about impact, what is actually helpful to them and not just, feels good to me. And so since graduating from college, I've really had the opportunity to put some of those ideas into practice. I worked for a year between college and law school and really got to see within an organization, within a nonprofit organization, how they look at impact, what that really looks like, but also got to reflect on that for myself and in working on Novel Hand during that time. And in law school, I've gotten to really explore service again in a meaningful way, doing pro bono projects. In my 1L year, got to try a bunch of different things. And then this year, I'm helping to lead pro bono volunteer projects, which is really meaningful for me because I get to combine leadership and service in a really practical way, and then serving on clinics and things like that. And so I really appreciate this award. I know I'm young, and it's exciting to be acknowledged for the contributions I have made, but I really do credit the way that Minnetonka sort of instilled in me this love of service and those opportunities as part of why I've won this award. And yeah, thank you so much, and have a great rest of your Saturday.